Welcome to How Do They Afford That, the podcast that peeks into the financial lives of everyday Australians. It's really the podcast that aims to answer the question that we've all been dying to ask when we looked at our neighbours, we've seen all the great things that they're buying, a new car, a bigger TV, an overseas holiday, upgrading to business class maybe, and you ask yourself, how do they afford that? My name's Michael Thompson, and every week, Canna Campbell and I take a look over the fence, a bit of a peek at the neighbour's place and ask that very question. Canna, it's normal, isn't it, to be just a little bit curious?
Absolutely. We all aspire to have a better life, more money, more health, more time. So I think it's only natural and healthy to want to know what is the secret to their success. How are they affording it all?
Yeah. And look, it feels a little bit kind of voyeuristic. It feels like there might be a little bit of jealousy creeping into it sometimes. I know it is for me, at least, when you see some of these things that people are doing. So if we can try and kind of unpack a few of those secrets as to how they might be affording it and how then, hey, I can afford that too, then that would be great. Now, you've been a financial planner. You've got a hugely successful YouTube channel, Sugar Mama TV. You've written books, Mindful Money and the $1,000 Project. You've got your other podcast, Sugar Mama's Fireplay. You're very busy. You're also trying to build financial security and independence for your own young family. So
that's right.
I think it's pretty safe to say that you know what you're talking about when it comes to all of this. What are we really trying to achieve here, apart from just making me feel better about not having what the neighbours got?
I think it's all about relieving and reducing financial stress in our lives. I'm a big believer that the stress of money infiltrates into so many different areas in our lives. That flow-on effect is very powerful. It impacts our relationships. It impacts our career paths. It impacts our personal growth. The time that we have is always dictated by money. So with a few simple hacks, changes and habits and ideas and even a bit of inspiration and empowerment, the change that we can make is actually very easily done, but the results are quite profound. And not only do you see the results, but you can actually feel the results. So it's only like it's creating a happier, healthier life for you, your family, and all the loved ones around you.
And now, just to be super clear about this isn't investment, product advice, or personal advice. It is purely for your financial education, and it's general in nature, isn't it?
Absolutely. Should you ever hear something we're talking about and you think, oh, I wonder if I should be doing that. Is that right for me? That is when you should always reach out and speak to a financial planner and ask them for personal advice based on your financial situation, your goals, your deadlines, and of course, your risk profile, because caps, rules, regulations, taxes change all the time, and you always need to be aware of exactly what you're doing and know that the advice that you're getting is right for your situation.
All right, so let's jump into it then. If one of our goals is to kind of help me manage my money a little bit better, save a little bit more, probably spend it on the things that I want to spend it on, then I think we should start with one of the biggest kind of money pits there is, the grocery bill.
Tell me about it. I feel like I live like in the supermarket all the time.
I know. So, okay, let's start with the very basics. I know how much we spend on groceries, and there's a family of 4, and it seems like it goes up every single week. How much are people spending, and where do we even start?
Well, first of all, I think you're going to fall into a trap if you start comparing your grocery bill to everyone else's, because everyone has a very different lifestyle, a very different routine, different dietary requirements. My grocery bill, for example, might be much bigger than yours because I take my lunch to work and so does my partner, and we make a lot of food at home. Whereas you compare to, say, your best friend that might be single, a bachelor, likes to eat out a lot. So their actual grocery bill is going to be different. So stop comparing yourself to others. It's a bottomless pit, and it does not serve you in any way when it comes to managing your finances.
Got it.
The reason why at the moment food is so incredibly expensive is 2 reasons. Obviously, the war and floods. So that has dramatically reduced the supply.
So the lemon tree that I have in my backyard that is currently just heaving with lemons, I could actually be sitting on a gold mine.
You could be. I'm going to hit you up because I buy a lot of lemons.
And it's really bad. And I know we're getting off topic here, but when you have a gin and tonic and lemons kind of aren't in season or something, and you end up having to pay like $3 for a single lemon or something, and you're just like, this is ridiculous, but you're going to do it anyway.
You do. And we do what I do is when it's expensive like that and I don't have a lemon tree, you're very lucky, I start slicing that lemon really like slimly so that I get the most out of my lemon.
So it's just a gin and tonic with a hint of lemon.
Yes, exactly. Subtle touch.
All right. Now we actually went quite off track just there, but so really it kind of comes down to what you're putting into your trolley. Is it the case that I don't think I'm ever going to give up meat? I could actually eat, and this is going to sound bad as well. I'm just incriminating myself with everything I say on this podcast, but I could eat meat for every meal of the day happily. If I was to give that up entirely in some kind of fantasy world, would I see my grocery bill come down?
It really depends what you're replacing it with. So if you're going to be quitting meat or reducing meat, and then you go and, start buying, sashimi salmon for dinner instead, okay, maybe not. You might be treading water. But look, there are lots of different things you can do to help relieve the stress of your grocery budget. And it really comes down to some key things. And I'd say the number one thing is planning and preparing correctly.
So planning your meals.
And your grocery shopping. Okay. Investing a bit of time up front to do it in the right way so that you don't waste money. You buy what you need, and you also limit those trips back to the supermarket where you go in to buy 1 or 2 items, you walk out with 10 items.
Well, that actually leads me perfectly on to, do you do one shop per week, or do you go in and do kind of half a dozen little shops? Because is it going to be better to do one big one and get everything you need, and suddenly your grocery bill is kind of $350 or something for one shop, or do you go and do kind of 7 or 8 different $50 trips? Is it going to work out better if you just do that massive one at the beginning of the week on a Sunday afternoon, which sounds like absolute torture?
Look, I would love to tell you this secret formula as to how and when exactly to shop to make the most of your budget. But the truth is, everyone is different.
Yeah.
And that is why I say you've got to look at your own lifestyle, your own routine, your own responsibilities. It's what works for me is not going to be the right formula for you. So, for example, my children eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. I should probably lean towards fruit more than vegetables. And also my children are fussy. So if a banana is looking brown, they'll turn their nose up. So me buying my groceries, doing one shop 1 week, a lot of the food's starting to go off and hasn't been eaten, and we're starting to run out. And our weeks are quite different at the moment with our family routine. So you've got to sit down on what works out best for you. But what it really boils down to, and once you've done this, you can then work out your routine. When I do our grocery shop, I grab my phone and I go through the pantry and the fridge and I see what we've already got. And my priority is to try and eat up what we've got before I start replacing it. But I will look at our family diary in my phone and I will see that, okay, my son's got art classes and I'm not picking him up till 5 o'clock. So for that night, I need something that's really quick and easy to put in the oven. Other nights I will see that my partner's, for example, away. So I know that means we can have a really sort of light dinner. We don't need something particularly heavy like a meal with meat in it. I can get away with doing a pasta dish, which is something he won't necessarily like. So I will plan each night and I will try as a minimum plan 3 meals or 3 days in advance by checking what I've already got. As I'm putting together, okay, right, tonight we're having spaghetti bolognese. I can see that we've got mince in the freezer already, so I don't need to go and buy more. We've got a herb garden at home. It's a really pretty little herb garden, but it's great.
Is it functional? It's useful?
It's functional. It's working. It's actually thriving at the moment.
Right.
But that saves me, $4 herbs, chives, chilies, oregano. Like they're $4 a bunch, and you buy them and they're gone within a couple of days. And if you've got to buy a couple of different herbs, there's $12 pretty much gone within, 48 hours almost. So little things like that. So planning in advance, planning at least 3 days in advance so I can see what I've got. And I know, for example, on Sundays, that's a great day where I've got the time. So I will try and, stockpile and cook large amounts of food and then freeze them into smaller portions. So for those nights where I'm going to be home late and my kids are going to be home late and they're going to come home from sport and be tired and ratty, there's something that's so easy, ready to go, and that will then stop me from ordering home delivery or takeaway that ends up costing $80 and we end up over-ordering and actually represents a large amount of money out of our grocery budget.
All right, plenty more we need to discuss. We'll be back in a moment. So Sunday's kind of your day to get all of that ready. Is that when you're also doing the list and everything as well? All right. When do you actually do the shopping then? Because if you've got the kids, then that is tough. Going shopping with the kids is a nightmare.
A nightmare.
Absolutely. Hey, we said at the same time, it must be true. It is a nightmare because it suddenly goes from taking an hour or an hour and a half to taking 2.5 hours. You end up with about 10 things that you didn't want to get suddenly either dropped in there without you knowing about it, or you just done it to shut them up.
Yep, they threatened you with a tantrum.
Absolutely. Or they'll do it anyway and you'll just give in. And if you're kind of doing that on a Sunday afternoon when the kids are there, it's going to lead to spending more.
It's going to backfire.
Is there, I know you said there's no kind of magic kind of recipe or anything, but is there, say, a good time to be going to the shops?
Okay, so this is what I will do after I've gone through our pantry and our fridge and our freezer and worked out what we're going to have for dinner. And I also point out that my partner takes lunch to work. I work from home a lot at the moment, so I'm eating lunch at home.
Yeah.
And we'll also do, a sort of breakfast or snack on the run as well, plus, food for the kids at home as well. So once I've gone through the fridge, the freezer, the pantry, planned out the meals, I then jump online on Woolworths predominantly and do a home delivery. Now for me, that's great because it means I don't have 3 children hanging off me trying to fill my shopping trolley with lollies and junk and all sorts of things. But it means that as I'm adding to the basket, I'm buying what exactly we need. But also I'm seeing the total add up. So say, for example, my grocery budget is, say, $300 per week. As I'm getting closer and closer, I can start to see, oh, hang on, I'm getting closer and closer to that $300. Stop for a second. Let's go back and trim out what I am sneaking in there that we don't really need or we can maybe go without. Rather, when I'm in a supermarket, I've got that, I'm trying to add it up in my head as I'm pushing a trolley around. I'm very easily to get the maths wrong or forget where I got up to. And then you've got the embarrassment at the checkout going, oh, hang on, I've gone over my budget. Can we just take that humiliation when you've got a queue of people behind you going, actually, can we take that back? Can I take that back or put that back? It's all there. And yes, I'm paying for delivery, but I pay, I'm going to give Woolworths a massive shout out here, but I pay $120 for a year's worth of unlimited delivery as long as I spend over $50. And I think it cost me something like $9. But that $9 saves me realistically 2 hours out of my day.
Yeah.
And it stops me overspending. So for me, in my lifestyle and with my responsibilities and my time poverty, it works. It's so well worth it. And I will organize, I'll try and make sure it's a delivery in a green hour, so I'm reducing my impact on the environment. And normally that food arrives sometime on either Monday morning or Monday night. So we're stocked up for the rest of the week.
You'd have to be so disciplined, though, with that. In terms of setting what your grocery budget's going to be, if it's going to be, say, $300, that, as you said, if you're there watching it get closer to $300 and then you're trimming things out of it, the temptation would have to be there just to go, oh, it's not that much over. It's only $10 over or something like that. It'll be all right.
Of course, I always have a buffer. So in our family budget, we round everything up by at least 10%. So I have a buffer of error. And also there are times where, we've got, for example, a weekend coming up where we're going away for the Blue Mountains. I know that I'm not going to need to spend as much money on groceries that week. So it evens it out. And
you can take some money out of that week and put it into this week.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's like I'm like a traffic director. I've got to let some traffic come here because there's, it's banking up there and let it go through. And then I've got to stop the traffic there and just get that to park that traffic for a while.
Yeah.
It's never this perfect set fixed expense. Life's not like that.
Yeah.
And there are weeks, for example, I've got my son's birthday party coming up. So I know that I'm going to need to start buying some food in preparation for that party.
Do you fit all that into the budget as well? Or is that kind of like do you have another kind of buffer, a separate account kind of thing for those special events?
Well, luckily he's turning 9, so I'm not going to be feeding an army of adults. It's going to be a very small, civilized party. But
you can buy party pies on special for $5 kind of thing.
Exactly. And also with things like those expenses, if I am on a super, super tight budget, I can even them out, say, over a 4-week process. So I might allocate, say, $20 of that, say, $300 budget for party pies or for lollies or for chips or for as I get closer, doing fruit plates and stuff like that. So I can sort of ration it out. It does involve a bit of time, but when you do it in the right way, it actually is quite easy and it takes practice. And because I've been doing it in this way for so long, it comes to me quite organically. However, I will admit, because food does go off quite quickly.
Yeah.
And as is the example of, bananas going brown and kids turning their nose up, or as my son Rocco, the moment an avocado looks just a little bit too soft. He refuses to eat it.
I'm impressed that you can actually get him to eat avocado. We can't even get ours to look at an avocado.
I'm hiding. I have a few tricks up my sleeve as to how I get my kids to eat more vegetables. But I will admit I do need to go back to the supermarket. But because I've got the bulk of the heavy shopping done, I can go in and go, right, we're already low on yogurt. And I've got to pick up these 3 things. And of course, I'm human. I get tempted by, something's on special or I'm in a bad mood. So I think I'll reward myself with a chocolate bar.
Do you ever buy a Milky Way just to eat as you walk around the shops?
I love a Milky Way.
They're good, aren't they?
How good are they?
Yep.
And they perfectly satisfy as well.
Yeah. And they're probably, again, fitting in the theme of the podcast, they're one of the cheaper chocolate bars as well.
My kids love Milky Ways too. So
fantastic. Anyway, look, you mentioned home delivery, and obviously there is a cost associated with that. For me, the 6 greatest words in grocery shopping are click and collect, direct to boot. That's 6. Yeah. It is fantastic, the fact that you can do all of that online, and so you can still kind of go through and watch that total getting closer to whatever your budget is. And it also tells you how much you've saved by buying things that are on special as well, and I love that part.
Same. Reward, what was it called? Everyday rewards. So I love watching my little tally. It's like, you have saved $26.
Okay, so I think we're in furious agreement about how good it is shopping online now, because you save so much time.
Yes.
You generally save money, and it allows you to be more disciplined.
Absolutely. And I find you eat healthier as well, because you're
Really?
looking, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit OCD, but I love looking as I go to checkout and just scrolling through and go, how many times are you going to say healthy? So I'll go through and I always try to make as much of my shopping trolley healthy, because it means I'm going to eat better during the week. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to sleep better. Potentially my kids might behave a little better if they're not having those sugar highs, which I'm guilty of creating for them. But, I look at it from this is, I guess the thing is, you could go to the supermarket and buy Tim Tams, which are on special for $2.20. Or you could buy a bunch of bananas, which will cost you $4 or $5. It's hard to save money and stay healthy. But I look at it from long-term sustainable health and well-being. And this it's a hard world to shop, to be honest, when it comes to groceries and stay on budget and keep wellness as a priority in your life.
The one thing that I think would be the downside of shopping online is that it makes it that little bit harder to find the kind of the hidden treasures of the supermarket, which is, say, me confessing, whenever I am in Woolies, I will always swing by the barbecue chicken area where they're all on display, because they have a limited shelf life. They're only on the shelf, I think, kind of 4 hours or something. And then if it's towards the end of the 4 hours that they get marked down from $12 to $4 or something like that.
Exactly.
And you swing by there and just have a quick look, and you might pick yourself up a barbecue chook for $4.
Especially when you walk past and you get that smell.
Yes.
Oh, it's so that salty, juicy. And you can smell the stuffing. Yum.
Yeah.
So apparently the best time to shop is actually a Wednesday if you're going to go in store, because the deliveries arrive, I believe, on Tuesday night. So they start discounting items on a Wednesday morning prior to 11 a.m. and then again after 4 p.m.
Right. Okay.
So that's when the discounts, and then
So it's not just. I always thought it was just kind of you just got lucky, but there's actually a bit of science behind it.
yes, well, it makes sense because they've got to obviously clear stock quickly before it starts rotting or going off. So they'll start, the discounts obviously continue throughout the day. But also, I believe it's smart to shop when it's not busy, because when you go into a supermarket and it's packed, people are blocking the signs of what's on special. And also you're trying to beat the rush. You're not concentrating. You're distracted. You're overwhelmed. Try and go when it's out of peak hour so that you can peruse down those aisles, see what's on special, take your time, shop mindfully is one of my, I guess, big mantras in life. And, it helps you stick to the budget and obviously enjoy the process in a lot more of a harmonious way.
We are running out of time, but I just want to ask you about apps.
Yes.
Are there any apps? Because I love an app. I will download anything that anyone recommends to me. Is there anything I should be using?
Yes, there's a great app called Frugal, which is spelled Frugl, and it is brilliant because it shows you, and I believe they've got Aldi now, Woolworths, Coles, and potentially I'm hoping one day they'll get on there for Harris Farm. And they will tell you what's on special. And it's actually quite incredible because you will see, for example, that a box of Ferrero Rocher chocolates is $20 from Woolworths, but this week is actually $10 from Coles. And it has thousands and thousands of products listed, so you can work out where you need to be shopping to get the most out of your budget. And all these little savings really do add up. And another great hack is I subscribe to Harris Farm, and David Harris puts out, I think once a week, a bit of a newsletter, and he lets you know what is in season and what is cheap. So I will, for example, see that plums are on special at the moment. So I will go and buy them in bulk, and I can, make, frugal dishes like a warm plum crumble, which is such a frugal meal to make. And
it doesn't sound frugal. It sounds kind of decadent.
No. Oh my gosh. It's like 4 ingredients to make crumble, and literally your kids could do it and throw it in the oven. It's absolutely delicious. But you can use that to your advantage. And that's when you obviously use your freezer is your friend, because it's a time capsule. There's so much you can just throw into the freezer for another time. But make sure you've got the space in your freezer first.
Yeah, that's actually bad when you are in the shops and you see that something's on special and you think, I'm going to buy it all, stock up, whack it all in the freezer when I get home. And you get home and there's no room in the freezer. And so then you're stuck trying to eat through kind of like 8 loaves of bread or something in 4 days. You're like, this isn't going to work. All right. I think that's pretty much it for today. I think we've covered everything we can in the time we've given ourselves. I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there one thing that we should be thinking about in order to help get the grocery bill under control?
Yes. Planning and preparing. Cross-check your diary, your routine, and try and plan at least 3 days in advance what you are going to eat. Check what ingredients you have already, ideally prioritizing to eat up the bits first, and then making sure that you are creating a great diet that's healthy, nutritious, and obviously financially frugal to get you through and just keeping you on top of sticking to your grocery budget.
All right. And always swing past the barbecue chooks.
After 4 p.m. when they're at least 4 hours old.
Excellent. And you get a $4 chook. That is my tip of the day. All right. Thank you very much for listening to How Do They Afford That? Remember to hit subscribe or follow, and please leave us a review as well. Next week, we are talking about something that could be a little bit scandalous. It is about what to do when your partner loves to spend, but you love to save. It is an absolute minefield. I'm looking forward to that one. Don't miss it.